Okay, good evening, guys. Can you all let me know if you all can hear me and see a screen? Yes, can see a screen. Good. Okay, so today, guys, we'll start with the 2012 A level question, right? I think we finished all the MCQs last week, and we need to start with the essay questions this week. And I think we started and we did the 2011 A level essay question from unit number 1. So what we will do today is we'll start from 2012. We'll try and do as much as possible. Okay, if possible, we'll try to finish the entire thing, or at least we'll try and do as much as possible so that at least by next week we can completely finish off unit number 1 and move on to, let's say, unit number 2 and 3 later. Right. How many of you all guys attempted the question? You all did the questions, let's say from 2012 onwards? Yes, no. Tried and wrote some sort of answers? Okay, can let me know. Okay, so I think around half of you all have done based on the responses I have on the chat box. Right, never mind. So we'll start from 2012 and we'll get going, guys. Like I said, okay, make sure that you all do the questions and come write answers and come make sure that you all, nicely have your answers filed and, collect those answers so that later on, once we finish the entire papers, when you look back and see the amount of answers that you have wrote, you itself will automatically feel a lot confident. So just because this class is done for free, don't, take it loosely. Come get the best use of the class. In case you miss it, what's the recording? I'll upload it on YouTube, but I understand it's not as same as coming to the live class. Watching the recording, you can't ask any question, you can't really do anything much. You just have to watch. So try your level best to come to the live class. Worst case, yes, if you have to miss it or if something comes along your way, then watch the recording and get that caught up. Okay. So without wasting much time, we'll start with the 2012 A-level question. It's a 20-mark question again, the first one. Okay. So some of these questions are easy, guys. So I will not go into very detail on the very easy questions. The ones that I feel that is important, I'll talk a little bit about that. Okay. So we'll start with the 2012 A-level question number 1, subpart 1. How do you define economic resources? How do you classify them? Yes, how do we define economic resources? What can we say? Economic resources are what? What are the key words that have to be there in your answer? Economic resources are? Okay. You need to say economic resources are the resources that are scarce in nature, or in other words, scarce in supply. That has to be there. What else? It has an opportunity cost. So these are the keywords that has to be there in your answer, guys. So you need to say economic resources are the production resources that are scarce or that are limited in supply. Scarce or limited. That word has to be there. And you need to then say, as a result of using these scarce resources in the production process, an opportunity cost is generated. That means you all know when we use these scarce resources, we have to forego something else. So those are the key words that have to be there, guys. So you can write your answer in any different way, but the word saying that it is scarce, or in other words, saying that it is limited, has to be there. You also have to say there is an opportunity cost. Then, if you're looking at classifying them, how can we classify economic resources? How do you classify? You can classify them into land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. If you want, you can even go further, guys. So you can do it this way, right? You can classify now, for example, you can give land and capital, okay, rather than just giving it like this. You can give land and capital as human resources, right? You can say land and capital are human resources, and you can say land and capital are human resources, land and labor and entrepreneurship are human resources, land and capital are What resources? Property resources. So you can even give your answer like this. So when you're going to classify, you can give your answer like that. So you don't have to go into detail and explain, not needed. So you can say there are property resources, under that you have land and capital, you have human resources, under that you have labor and entrepreneurship. Even if you would have just given land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, they would have still given you the marks. But we'll try to make our answer as perfect as possible. So it's a very easy question, and that is what you can write. Any questions, guys, on this? Are you all okay? Renewable, non-renewable is not a major classification. Renewable, non-renewable comes under this land. If you take land, there are certain resources under land which are renewable. There are certain resources under land which is non-renewable. So it's not a main classification. Okay, done. Then we go into the next one. Question 2. What are the major functions of an entrepreneur? Yeah, guys, for a question like this is more than enough. So you will get 2 marks for defining economic resources. So you'll have to write around 2-3 lines. Okay. And then how do you classify? You don't have to write paragraphs and paragraphs. You can just give it something like this. You'll get 2 marks for this. More than enough for you to get your 4 marks. Okay. Then, yes, but this you have to write as a nice sentence. Okay. I just gave the keywords. You'll have to write it as a nice sentence. You'll get your marks. Done. Then we'll go into what are the major functions. Now, when they say what are the major functions, you don't again have to explain. You can, state 4 points, but points can't be just 1 or 2 words. Make sure that your points are, somewhat a little long. Now, for example, let me give it to you from my tute itself without wasting time and typing. Where is this entrepreneurship? Hold on. Okay. Okay. So you can give in the functions like this. For example, you can say, okay. So I'll just tell you how you can expand on this and write a nice answer. So you can say, mobilizing factors of production and engagers in policy decision making. I think that is enough for 1 point, right? You don't have to make it more longer. Then you can say organization of production activities. So he is the one who organizes the production activities. Introduction of innovation, fine. And also risk bearing. So you can say, or you can make this a little bit longer and say on an entrepreneur bears risk. Why? Since bears, you can say an entrepreneur bears a risk. His return will depend on whether the, let's say, venture or whatever his business is successful or not. So you can say, if it is successful, he will receive a profit. If it is a failure, he would receive a loss. So yes, there is no real order in this. There is no order, right? I am just giving 4 points. You can write any point in any order. So number 1 is mobilizing the factors of production. What does mobilizing the factors of production mean? He gets everyone together. That's the first thing that an entrepreneur does. He gets the land, the labor, mobilizing factors of production, then engages in policy decision making. What is policy decision making? Those are the main decisions of a business, not the small decisions. Now, for example, what product should be produced? Which market should be catered? Right? Those kind of big decisions, that is what you call policy decision making. That's the first function. Then we also have organizing production activities. So once he brings all the factors of production together, and then he will organize it. So he will say, okay, you have to, this is what we are going to do. So we will start with doing something like this, right? You all can work on this. Then we will work on this later, right? After that, we will sell it and sell it to this market. So he organizes everything. He plans everything out and he does that. Then he introduces innovation. An entrepreneur comes up with a lot of new things. He doesn't stick to the same old thing. He always tries to develop his product and tries to do something a little different than what the others are doing. And also you can say an entrepreneur bears a risk. Why? Because his return can either be a profit or a loss. If you take land, labor, capital, they have a fixed return. Land will get rent. Labor will get wages. Capital gets interest. But if you take an entrepreneur, only if he is successful, he will get a profit. If the business is a failure, he might end up making a loss. That's why we say an entrepreneur bears a risk. Okay. Can we give identifying opportunities, controlling the resources? Yeah. Controlling the resources comes under mobilizing factor. So you can't give both of them. Identifying opportunities and all will come under introducing innovation. So he identifies the new opportunities and comes up with new innovative things. So you can't give introducing innovations and identify opportunities as a separate one. You might not get the mark. Okay. Any questions, guys? Fine. National accounting papers, I didn't give you all the highest mark. The highest that we had was 2 people of 47 each out of 50. I was waiting for a couple of days if I have missed anyone's paper. The highest mark was 47 out of 50. I'll reach out to you all and give you all the reward that I wanted to give. Yes, that savings thing I'll check. I couldn't check that yet. I'll check that. Okay. The second main economic question as to which goods and services should be produced is solved by an entrepreneur. Not really an entrepreneur, but then you can say it's solved collectively by a business if you want. Which good and service to be produced in a market economy. Okay. Done. We'll go into this. Distinguish between productive efficiency and allocative efficiency. The marks for your yesterday's paper, revision class students, I'm looking at give me like a week or two. I'll look into it and I'll mark and send. I'll send you all the answers before that though, for you all to have a look at it. Some of your answers were really good, guys, revision class people. Some of your answers can definitely improve for some of the others. Some people did write really good answers. I just went through them. I did not go through in detail, but I just read a couple of answers. You all had written well. The others, I feel there is a little bit of things that you all can do to improve, but we'll work on it. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. Distinguish between productive efficiency and allocative efficiency. What can you say, guys? Now, remember, in a question like this, please don't go and write, right? Don't draw a table. Don't draw, don't say, for example, productive efficiency is this, right? They're asking you distinguish, and allocative efficiency is this. Don't give it like in a table format like this. So what you have to do is you have to write one proper paragraph about what is productive efficiency. So let me copy that paragraph directly from my tube without wasting time and typing. Give me a second. Right. Okay. So for productive efficiency, we can say, okay, so we can say productive efficiency. Now I'll just put it on this again. When you are writing in your this thing, make sure you'll write it in one paragraph below the other paragraph. Okay. Right. I have an answer on the chat box as well. Good. Right. So what is productive efficiency, guys? Productive efficiency is about using all your resources to the maximum sustainable level and getting the maximum sustainable output, right? Without any wastage, without any of that. You're trying to use all the resources that you have, right? So you're trying to make sure there is full employment using all your resources, and there is full production, that all the resources that are used on its maximum sustainable level. So by that, what are you trying to do, guys? You're trying to get the maximum sustainable output. You're trying to get the maximum possible output. But remember, production efficiency doesn't mean maximum output. We're always talking about, make sure you write here maximum sustainable output. Now, for example, you can make your workers work, let's say 16 hours a day. Your machines can run 24 hours a day. You can produce something beyond also. But we are not talking about that. In productive efficiency, what we are talking about is the maximum sustainable output. Now, for example, if a country has 100 labor, by employing all that 100, let's say for 8 hours a day, if everyone works, the maximum sustainable level. So 8 hours a day is sustainable. No? You can tell that person even for 1 year to work 8 hours every day. Fine, he will come. But you can't make a person work 16 hours a day every day for 1 year. He's not going to work. So sustainability is important. Okay, that is production efficiency. Hope you all remember that area. Then also, what about allocative efficiency? In terms of allocative efficiency, you can say, okay, I'll just put a small note over here. You can say allocative efficiency is this, right? Allocative efficiency is where you produce what the society wants. Now, production efficiency is where you're producing the maximum sustainable level. You're using all your resources and doing the best. But there is no point doing all of that if you're not producing what the society wants. No. So allocative efficiency is about producing what the society wants. Or you can even say, you can even put it this way, you can say it's the distribution of limited resources based on society's preference, right? You're distributing your resources to produce what the society wants. So what is the condition? The condition is the price should equal to marginal cost, or marginal benefit should equal to marginal cost. And maybe guys, you can also draw a small PPC and show the difference as well. You can draw a small PPC and you can say, look here, what can we say? You can say any point on the PPC, right? Any point on the PPC will denote productive efficiency. So this point, this point, this point, all of it denotes productive efficiency, but only one point will denote allocative efficiency. So maybe you can highlight that the different color and say, maybe for example, it's point A that denotes allocative efficiency. You can also draw the marginal benefit, marginal cost curves, right? You all would have seen that in your tute. You can draw something like that, and you can then also give a final conclusion to your answer and say, when productive efficiency and allocative efficiency both are met, then there is economic efficiency. So for 2 marks, you can talk about production efficiency. For 2 marks, you can talk about allocative efficiency. This full employment, full production part is not very needed, but you can highlight a little on that. Okay, you don't have to go into detail, but you can just mention a little bit about that. There is something like that. And then you talk about allocative efficiency. Maybe you can support your answer with a diagram. You'll get your 4 marks. Is that okay? Fine. Can handle. Then, yes, I'm hoping you all would have written the answers and come. Okay. Going to the next. Explain the concept of opportunity cost and describe how it relates to the problem of choice between alternative users of scarce resource, between alternative users of scarce resource. So what do you need to explain, guys? You need to explain this story, right? What is the story? The story is there are limited resources. If you take an economy, they have limited resources. And there is what? These limited resources, there is what? Limited resources, and there is unlimited wants. So given that there is limited resources and unlimited wants, what do we end up with, guys? It leads to which problem? What's the problem that it leads to? Given that there is limited resources and unlimited wants, what do we face? We face the problem called scarcity. So now we will face scarcity. So we say that our resources, that the resources that a country has are scarce. What does that mean? That means they are limited compared to the unlimited wants. Compared to your unlimited wants, the resources are limited. And also, what can you tell about these scarce resources? These scarce resources, they also have alternative uses. That means you can do different things. Now, if you all remember in my theory or revision class, I would have taken a plot of land. I said, there is a plot of land, a scarce plot of land. We only have one plot of land. With that plot of land, you can do so many things. You can build a playground. You can build a house. You can go and do some farming. You can give it as a car park as rent for some business. You can do so many things. But can you do all of that? You can't do all of that, right? Your scarce resources has a lot of alternative uses, but you can't do all of that. So because of that, what should you do nowadays? What should you do? What does this lead to? Now you have to make a choice, right? So it leads to a choice. So you can draw an arrow and say, this leads to, sorry, you can draw an arrow and say this leads to, sorry. Yes, the question was there on yesterday's paper. Yesterday's paper, if you have realized, it was completely on past papers. So for those who have done the past papers, you would have realized it would have been easy. Okay, right. So it leads to what? It leads to choice. So when you make a choice, guys, what happens? When you go and end up making a choice, what does that lead to? When you make a choice means you're choosing your best alternative. That means you have to forego everything else, no? Your next best alternative, your third best alternative, your fourth best alternative, all of that is lost. So that leads to opportunity cost. It leads to opportunity cost. So this story is what you have to write and explain, guys. So you have to say, look here, right? There is something like this. So you can explain it in order, guys. So what are they asking in the question? They are asking, right, to explain the. Now you don't have to draw this diagram. This is just explanation, right? So in your explanation, what you should write is you should start off by saying, in an economy, there are limited resources and unlimited wants. This leads to the concept of scarcity, right? So then you can say the resources which are scarce in the economy have alternative uses. For example, if we consider a plot of land, with a plot of land, one could either build a house, build a playground, use it for farming, etc., etc. However, it has to be noted that all of these alternative uses could not be, let's say, executed, or you can't do all of this. Therefore, you can say a choice has to be made. For example, with your plot of land, you would have to make a choice, for example, to build your house. As a result of making a choice, the benefit of your next best alternative would become your opportunity cost. So that thing, now I am just giving my words. So that is why, guys, you have to write and practice. Yeah. Now I know you all know this story. I know you all know limited resources, unlimited wants lead to scarcity, alternative uses. I know you all know that story. But how many of you all know how to properly write it into a paragraph? That is where your writing skills have to come in. That's why essay questions, just by reading the tunes and understanding, you can never write essay questions. You itself have to sit on a paper with your pen. You will have to write. Only then your essay question answering improves, guys. No matter how much you know, you're going to struggle to put it into the right words if you have not wrote before. So make sure that you all do that. Yes, guys, you all can mention examples in your answer. No problem at all. Trade-off. Trade-off means making a choice, guys. Trading off means you're choosing one and giving up everything else. Is that okay? This story, you need to explain that in a paragraph. Okay, right. Then we move to the last question. Outline the differences between a command and a market economy. Guys, again, when they say outline, please don't draw it on a table. What you have to write is points. Okay, can you all give me some points, guys? I'll give you all 1 point, others I will discuss. What are the points? You can say, right, start off with the main ones. You can say a market economy, right? I'll just show you how to write 1 point. A market economy answers the basic economic problems using price mechanism, while what? A command economy would use the planning mechanism. So now that is 1 point, guys. Yeah, now that is 1 point. So when they say outline the differences, you have to give 4 points like that. Please don't draw a table, say a price mechanism, a plan mechanism, private ownership, public ownership. Don't do that. Yeah. So it's that kind of an answer. Can you all give me at least one of these answers? Another point, write it into a nice sentence. Nice. I have one. Okay. Can you give me? You can say, please don't make your points too complex. So now I got an answer, but I feel this point is a little too complex, right? I'll just show you, okay, on how you can improve. So this says in a command economy, government owns the factors of production, right? What does that mean? Public ownership of property. Maybe this part you can cut it off. and sets the prices and production schedules. And you can say in a command economy, government owns the factors of production, while in a market economy, the property is owned by the private sector. Now that shows a clear difference, no? So you are saying market economy, these people are owning, in this one, these people are owning. So that is a clear answer. Don't try to put a lot of factors into one point also. Got it? Market economy focuses in profit. Right. Okay. So that I will reword a little. We can say a market economy focuses, right? You can say the main motive of a market economy is self-interest. Or in other words, you can say the producers are interested in profit. So a market economy focuses on their own self-interest. For example, you can say, producers will focus on maximizing profit. You can say while, what can I say? While the command economy focuses on maximizing social welfare. So you can give it as something like that. You know, those kind of things are nice answers to give, guys. I feel it's more, you know, since they have said outline the differences rather than writing 2 paragraphs for this and 1 paragraph for market and 1 paragraph for command, it's better if you give it like this. Then the examiner clearly can see the difference, no? Rather than, you know, writing 2 paragraphs. It's very clear when you give it in this form. Now, these are not very short points. No? Now, these points, when you write it on paper, I think it will be around 2 to 3 lines. So stuff like this is perfect. So you write 1 point, leave a line, write your next point. Okay. So these kind of things, guys, you can write. So what are the other things that you can say? You can say, for example, 4 points is enough for 4 marks. You can say in a market economy, the level of competition is very high, but in a command economy, competition is comparatively low because it's the public sector who is providing the goods and services. Then you can say in a market economy, there could be high levels of income inequality, while in a command economy, this problem would not arise as the government would ensure equality in the market by setting prices and wages. So different differences you can give, but the focus here is not to teach you the difference. Yes, you can talk about consumer sovereignty as well, right? The focus is not to teach you the difference. The focus here is to teach you how to put it into a point. Is that clear, guys? Are you all okay with the answer format? I know you all know this. I don't have to teach you all now the difference between market and command. It's how do you properly structure that answer? That is the most important part. Okay. So write 4 points like that, you'll get your 4 marks. Done. Okay, so that is the end with the 2012 paper. Yes, you can say a command economy could lead to high levels of inefficiency and waste stages. You can say that. Yes, that's also possible.